I'm Derrick Pitts, Chief Astronomer at the Franklin Institute. I've taught astronomy here for 40 years, since the late 1970s, just a little more than a decade after the Civil Rights Act was passed. Landing a job working in astronomy as a young black adult was really huge. But between 1955 and 2012, only a mere 40 African Americans earned a doctorate in astronomy. Why did this happen? Why weren't there more? I spoke with 3 friends in the astronomy field about their experiences as blacks from their education through into their careers.
It was because I was facing so much racism in astrophysics that I decided to study African cultural astronomy. Because I knew that black people have been studying the stars forever, so why are they tripping that I'm a black person studying the stars?
Jarita Holbrook is an astronomer and an astrophysicist. For a time, she worked for NASA studying star formation. She later shifted to cultural astronomy, specifically focusing on indigenous African astronomy.
But even things people would say to me, even sometimes attempting to compliment me. Like I remember this one time, this happens to be a group of white guys, right? Mm-hmm. And so I'm there, we're engaging, and then one guy goes, you know how everybody thinks black people don't speak well? You're definitely the opposite of that stereotype. Oh my gosh. And one of the other guys say, dude, shut up.
Hakeem Oyushei is an astrophysicist mentored by another black astronomer, Art Walker. Hakeem's research on the sun's atmosphere and dark energy led to the development of groundbreaking technologies used in space exploration and computer chip manufacturing.
Currently, as it sits, there's no black woman in the U.S. that has received a PhD in astrochemistry. When we didn't know that there weren't any that looked like me, this was very alarming. And I was just like, okay, how do we get more black folks in this field?
Ashley Walker is currently studying astrochemistry. When she completes her PhD, she'll become one of the first black women in the field. Listen as these astronomers detail their experiences and findings about being black in their respective fields.
Okay, so you don't see that you don't feel as if there's been very much change in that sense of the legitimacy of blacks in STEM fields. Particularly, is this particularly for physics, or do you have a sense that this is broader across the STEM fields?
What's very interesting, unfortunately, I've studied this, so you're going to get the very interesting thing, right?
Okay.
That it depends on the discipline.
Uh-huh.
And it depends on the history of the discipline.
Okay.
And it doesn't track with gender.
It doesn't?
No.
Okay.
So.
Oh, okay.
Many Silicon Valley companies would consist of what we called a single business division. But this company was massive, and so it had several companies that were all under one roof, right? And when you went into a particular business division, they typically were dominated by a single ethnicity, okay?
And so it's really discipline by discipline, whether they're going to have more diversity or whether they're going to have more women, right? And so in astronomy, they have more women. In physics, they have more men of color, right? So as long as you're a man, you're getting in to a certain extent. Yeah.
Wow.
I was just walking down the hall one day, and this Korean gentleman, who I was really intimidated by, and he pulls me into a conference room, and he said, Hakeem, come here, let me talk to you. And I'm like, yes, sir. And and he goes, listen, what I want to tell you is, if you're a member of certain groups, you get to hear certain things. But if you're not a member of the group, you don't get to hear them. And I'm like, okay. And he then says to me, well, what I want to let you know is something's about to happen to you. And it's about to happen to you because you're black. And if I were you, I would call an attorney. So wow. That's my advice to you. Now, my thinking was, the last thing I want to do is bring up race. Short of someone standing up in a full room and yelling the N-word at me, I don't want to bring it up because it's going to be a bad thing for me, right? It's not going to work out for me, more than likely. So my response was like, whoa, dude, I don't know what you're talking about. But sure enough, it happened. Okay, it happened. and I survived it. And coincidentally, I got shifted to the same group this guy was in, this 100% Korean group, right? And even there, they said, the leader of the group, I love this guy, he said to me, the reason why you're a member of this group is because we need someone, the region of the world they covered included Korea and Japan, and we need a non-Korean person to deal with the Japanese.
Oh.
I didn't realize that these sort of animosities existed. Yeah, it was so multi-layered.
Jamila Pagis at Harvard, she's expected to graduate in 2021. She will be the first Black woman to receive her PhD in astrochemistry and the first Black woman to receive a PhD in astronomy at Harvard.
Were you intimidated when you went into your first classes?
No. When I first started doing astronomy and I went to Harvard, which is, as we all know, predominantly white, we were in a cohort of almost 17. It was 17 Black and brown people at Harvard for this program. They took me out to breakfast because they were just like, we didn't want you sitting in the dorm all day. This is the first time since I had lost my father that I was away. There was that Father's Day. And I remember one point we were at breakfast. The people sitting next to us were just giving us so much dirty looks. The guy's phone was ringing and I was sitting like right here and they were right here. And she was like, "Is that your baby mama?" My God, it took everything.
You cannot be serious.
Until we said, being at Harvard is definitely going to help us grow and help our experiences. They didn't do anything else after that. And so even if it was just a simple outing, it just said something about being Black in a predominantly white space.
But those little things like, like death by 1,000 cuts.
Yes.
Right? Little things. Some of them were unintentional, and some of them were intentional.
Well, that unconscious bias, though, is, plays a huge role.
Yes, but I call it the ultimate cop-out.
You can claim it wasn't intentional at all.
Exactly, but the implications are the same.
Yes.
Right? It's still, whether it's conscious or unconscious, you're driving people out of the field.
Yeah.
And I think I've told you before that I consider the pipeline to be a sewer pipe, and that a lot of people just don't interrogate what's happening inside that pipe, that people want to leave.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Or that people are driven out, and it's culture that's in there, behaviors that are in there. This is messy stuff that, most physicists are not trained to do human sciences or social sciences or cultural studies.
Mm-hmm.
This is all mysterious things that in some ways they went into physics or astronomy to get away from that human element.
Yeah.
They want predictable and safe.
Mm-hmm.
Have we gotten completely off topic yet?
In our next segment, we'll look at how Black identity contributes to the work of these three astronomers. Before we go, we want to recognize one of the Black women trailblazers in astronomy. Mathematician Katherine Johnson's calculations literally charted the course for the first Americans to space and for the first humans to the moon and back. Thank you, Ms. Johnson. You were an inspiration to us all, and we will forever salute your perseverance to contribute to the American space program.